Hello, my name is Roman Onigan. In the previous lessons, we looked at all three types of waves forming in the motive mode, namely impulse, leading, and ending diagonals. In this lesson, we will start to consider corrective patterns, and the first wave that we will analyze is the zigzag. The zigzag in the frequency of appearance on the charts is immediately after the impulses. Any complex corrective patterns can be divided into zigzags, and zigzags in turn can be divided into impulses. Thus, I urge you to be attentive because we are now going to analyze the most popular corrective pattern. So let's start. For a start, we write the rule. Rule number 1. The zigzag always consists of three waves and is denoted by letters A, B, and C. I want to note that in wave analysis, all corrective waves are denoted by letters, and all the motive waves, as you already know, are denoted by numbers. Next, a zigzag wave develops in the motive mode and usually takes the form of an impulse. Sometimes it can take the form of a leading diagonal. Wave B of the zigzag is formed in the corrective mode, and wave C of the zigzag is developing into a motive mode and typically takes the form of an impulse. But sometimes it can take the form of an ending diagonal. Based on the above, we can write the formula for the zigzag. It looks like this. The formula shows that wave A of the zigzag is formed in the motive mode, wave B in the corrective, and wave C in the motive, and zigzags consists of three subwaves. I will also note here that since wave B of the zigzag is formed in the corrective mode, sometimes it itself can take the form of a zigzag. Now, to better illustrate the following rule, let's start drawing the zigzag again. Third rule. Wave B of the zigzag is always shorter than wave A. In other words, wave B in its construction never goes below this level. Fourth rule, wave C of the zigzag usually goes above the end of wave A. Usually means that the wave C of the zigzag is almost never truncated. For example, here you will see the case when wave C of the zigzag turned out to be truncated. But this is rare, so most often wave C comes above the end of wave A as shown here. Now let's see how these rules are executed for the descending pattern. First, the descending zigzag as well as the ascending one consists of three subwaves and are denoted by the letters A, B, and C. Second, the waveform of the descending zigzag is the same. That is, it consists of a wave A forming in the motive mode, and a wave B forming in the corrective mode, and a wave C which is formed again in the motive mode. Then wave B of a zigzag is always shorter than wave A, and the wave C of the zigzag usually goes below the end of wave A. Now let's write down the guidelines. The rules differ from the guidelines only because the rules are always executed in the market. Guidelines are not always absolute, but often enough knowing the guidelines helps to make the right forecast. Now let's get down to writing the guidelines. First guideline, zigzags are usually a deep correction in relation to the previous trend. What is a deep correction? To understand this, we will schematically draw an uptrend that is an impulse. We draw a horizontal line along the central part of this impulse, which will display 50% of this impulse. So a deep correction is such a correction which in its construction will go below this line. Accordingly, a shallow construction, this construction, which in its construction does not reach this line, the same for the downward market. Schematically draw a downtrend line and draw a horizontal line in the center of this trend, which will separate deep corrections from shallow corrections. So the deep correction is the correction which in its construction will go above this line as shown here. A shallow correction is a correction which in its construction will end below this line as shown here. Since the zigzag is a deep correction in relation to the previous wave, as a rule, its value is more than 50% of the previous wave. Second guideline, waves A and C of a zigzag are usually striving for equality. What does that mean? If wave A of the zigzag, for example, is equal to 100 points, then very often wave C of the zigzag is also approximately equal to 100 points. Of course, this is not always done, but often enough to write it as a separate guideline. Third guideline, the channel often helps to predict the value of wave C. How to build a channel? When waves A and B have already been formed, a line is drawn through the beginning of wave A and the end of wave B. This line is then copied and drawn through the endpoint of wave A. Now if we draw a wave C with a dashed line with the same slope as wave A, then at the point where the dashed line and the upper boundary of the channel intersect, the wave C may end. Thus, the channel often helps to predict the value of the expected zigzag of the future. Therefore, this feature of zigzag is very convenient to use in trading. Now let's see how to build a channel in a downward market. The rules are similar. A line is drawn through the beginning of wave A and the end of wave B. This line is then copied and drawn through the end of wave A. Now we can build a forecast to where our wave C can reach. Here we have learned all the rules and guidelines for zigzags. These lessons are devoted to the theory of wave analysis. If you want to learn and practice, I'm waiting for you for personal training. So until we meet again, bye for now.